After a long wait and much anticipation, we finally have our first look at a full demo from Cyberpunk 2077's early game, and it looks incredible. So today, I figured we'd start from the beginning and check out some of the coolest details and gameplay systems at work within CD Projekt Red's latest creation. And trust me when I say, they are not messing around here. Right from the get-go, we get a pretty good look at just how far we can go when it comes to creating our characters. Unlike most titles out there, in Cyberpunk, you can actually customize your character's backstory by selecting key details such as a childhood hero, a key life event, and even your reason for being in Night City. And that aspect alone has me fascinated, because prior to this, a backstory to me was always something I could think up and drag with me through RPGs like Fallout New Vegas, but in actual fact, it never actually changed anything within the game itself, because it was all in my head. However, in Cyberpunk, these seemingly tangible backstories really do unlock differing possibilities later in the game. On top of that, you can fully customize your character's appearance as well as their skills and other aspects, giving you the ability to alter everything down to the smallest details such as various body mods or even your general level of cool. It definitely feels like a lot of effort is being put into making each style of character feel truly unique. And getting right into the action, I gotta say I absolutely love how they've incorporated these small interactions that your character can have with those around them, and how they're sort of on the fly rather than tied to a full chunk of dialogue. The new Red Dead looks to be including these as well, and I just think they're a small detail that can go a long way. Moving ahead just a bit, we see that finally we have a game that doesn't require you to crouch in order to be sneaky. A silly concept that honestly should have died years ago. And moreover, stealth in Cyberpunk is actually turning out to be a lot more in-depth than I originally assumed it would be, in the sense that you can go as far as picking up bodies and hiding them, if that's your style. Although that's really only scratching the surface in terms of remaining undetected. Oh, and going back a bit, you gotta appreciate that sound design. Now, if a gun's blazing approach is more your thing, Cyberpunk also offers an assortment of stimulants, similar to the chems in the Fallout series, and the potions in that of The Witcher, to help boost aspects like your reflexes in the form of temporary new abilities. I don't know what it is that makes slowing time so satisfying, but that is without a doubt the first one I'll be trying. I'm also really loving the level of destruction that this game seems to offer. It's a lot like the Rainbow Six Siege demo we saw that never came to fruition. And with a lot of this game set to take place inside, I think it'll offer a lot of interesting gameplay opportunities, should it turn out. After all, there's nothing like busting through walls to kill some bad guys. Another thing worth mentioning is that even by comparing this small section of gameplay with that of the first trailers, you can get a pretty good idea of the sheer number of options there are when it comes to how you can approach each situation. This particular section also gives us a glimpse of just how unforgiving the world of Cyberpunk is going to be, as we see a couple victims suffering from a software virus, and a trauma team that seems more likely to cause pain than they are to relieve it.
Stop where you are! Place the patient on the stretcher. 5 steps back, now!
Moving forward again, we learn that unlike one of CD Projekt Red's last games, in Cyberpunk, we actually get our own place to settle down and call home. It's here that we get a quick look at some of Night City's smallest, yet coolest details, such as a radio, similar to the ones featured throughout the Fallout and GTA franchises, as well as a fully functioning armory, and a look at some stat-based clothing, which grants bonuses to elements like EMP resistance, and also increases street cred, another important factor in the world of Cyberpunk that can unlock new vendors and other opportunities throughout Night City. And to top it all off, V's apartment is located inside a mega building. Essentially, it's a city within a city, and if you've ever seen 2012's Dread, you're probably just as excited to explore one of these death traps as I am. After all, it's pretty common nowadays that we see large expansive horizontal world spaces, but very rarely have we seen huge vertical Blade Runner-esque buildings done right, especially from the inside. And in a similar vein to Star Citizen, Cyberpunk 2077 aims to be a world without any loading screens, which is perhaps even crazier than it sounds once you take into account just how much is going on. I've played games with massive cities such as Los Santos and Novigrad that have felt as if they were teeming with life before, but this is taking lived into a whole new level. Based off this demo alone, this is easily one of the most believable cities I've ever seen in a video game. That said, I've still got my fingers crossed in hopes that it doesn't face a similar downgrade to that of The Witcher 3. Speaking of which, Cyberpunk's dialogue appears to be a lot less locked in comparison. To me, it feels like when Skyrim broke that same mold for Bethesda RPGs.
Let's roll. Scanning a serious job just now. Playing gargantuan compared to smashing up a scare phone. You interested?
Interested, sure. Tell me more.
Well, glad to hear it. Before we can start in on this, though, I need to be sure. Sure you all right.
All right. And the nature of this test?
Slot in the show.
Now, personally, I rather enjoyed the way the dialogue was in The Witcher, but seeing as how Cyberpunk is now entirely first person, this new way of doing things appears to be a bit of a better fit. And once more, you gotta love the sound design, especially the sounds of the city. The music mixed with a multitude of conversations really makes it seem like a city that's full of life and activity. And perhaps another reason for that is the fact that things are actually going on. It's not just a bunch of people walking around aimlessly, but rather people going about their daily lives, selling junk or solving crime. Overall, it's looking like it's going to be a very believable experience. Speeding things up once again, it's around this point that we finally get a good look into how we'll go about upgrading some of our cyberware or body mods via the Ripper dock.
That's Karoshi. Best I've got. And should be about right under the circumstances. Now jack in. You peruse and choose while I scan. Let's see what's going on inside.
What I like about this is the fact that it doesn't just alter your stats, it also changes the different ways in which you can interact with the world, as well as how your character looks depending on which mods you purchase. And that is the kind of detail we've come to love CD Projekt Red for. Not to mention, if walking around Night City wasn't cool enough as is, players also have the option to burn some rubber.
This does not look good.
Puta madre!
Grab the wheel, Jack!
Oh fuck!
And thus far, the driving in this game already looks surprisingly polished, almost to the point where I doubt we'll see V's car end up on any roofs. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Roach. Jokes aside, one thing that stood out most to me during this segment, even more so than the driving or the car itself, was simply how much the look and feel of the city changed depending on which area you were in. It had easily distinguishable commercial zones, ghettos, Chinatowns, really everything you'd expect to see in a place like this if it were real. And I should also highlight the fact that this was all shown to us in broad daylight and still looked damn good. Usually when you watch a movie or play a game that takes place in this particular setting, they tend to all be very dark. So I appreciate the unique approach CD Projekt is taking when it comes to putting this world on full display for the first time. Now, moving forward just a bit more, it's towards the end here that we get a good idea of how choice and consequence will play out in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, as it's here that we see the main character scanning for potential threats and deciding whether it's better to go in aggressive or with a more diplomatic approach. It's at this moment that we also get a meaningful look into one of the various hacks groups can use against us, and vice versa, in the form of a lie detector program. Of course, being a CD Projekt Red game, you have a multitude of different options in terms of how you can go about dealing with the issue at hand, some more risky than others, with each option having a seemingly different outcome from the last.
I asked if you came alone!
Yep, just little old me.
She's lying.
Search the area!
Now listen, folks, we don't need to be here all day.
This piece of shit, Anthony Gilchrist. Did he or another asshole at Militech leak info to you or anyone else about a convoy?
In this case, things play out about as smoothly as could be expected, allowing V a non-violent path through the rest of the quest. And it's in this last section of the demo that we see the rest of this deal go down with members of the Maelstrom Gang, a group who covers themselves from head to toe in body mods. And that right there is another reason why I'm loving what I'm seeing from Cyberpunk 2077. Every single group we've seen feels noticeably different when compared to all the others. In fact, it's gangs like these that make me wonder just how far we can take our own character in terms of cybernetic enhancements. I especially love this part of the demo here, because you can really feel the tension in the air, and that's not always an easy thing to capture.
I'll take it.
2 questions. What the fuck's going on? And who the fuck is this?
Got 50 large on this Kretchen.
And you positively reek of Militech.
Dexter Deshawn sent me.
Dexter Deshawn. Dreads. Gold plate. Fat old fuck. That him?
We'll pay for the bot and be on our way.
How much you say you had? 50K?
Creds on this.
Move it.
And it's shortly after this that we get a good idea of how some of the different classes are going to come into play within Cyberpunk, with skilled netrunners able to hack terminals, and engineers able to fix and disassemble different devices, very reminiscent of the latest Prey. Not only does this distinction between classes bolster replayability, it also makes each class feel far more significant and meaningful, especially compared to games where the classes don't really change much. And it's from this point on that we get a downright badass demonstration of the abilities you can expect to see on a high-end character, such as a ricochet targeting system, an ability that reveals enemies behind walls, and quick hacks capable of causing an enemy's weapon to seize up and jam. The abilities at your disposal seem almost endless, and to me, that's the key thing I take away from this demo. Cyberpunk appears to be a game of choice, and more importantly, choices that actually matter, and have a real impact on whatever quest you're doing, the people around you, and the world itself. And so there you have it, guys. That just about wraps up this look at Cyberpunk 2077's latest demo. So now I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What's been your favorite part about what we've seen so far? And what do you hope to see next moving forward? Also, do you think there's any chance we see this game released sometime in 2019? Or do you expect that we'll have to wait a little while longer? Either way, thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.
Well done, Missy. Well done. See you there.
Shit, I can't believe it, Ina. Major leagues. We're in. I mean, we fucking pried the door open.
About the only thing I want to pry open right now is a bottle of scotch.
Oh no, not another 3-nighter. Por favor.
Need to get to know this city, Jack. Not just gun in hand. I'm on a crusade.
Amen, Ina.